All right, welcome back to another edition of the Three Stooges podcast. Joe Davidson, Sacramento Bee, Chris Jackson of West Coast Preps, and Jordan Georgeson of Gold Country Media. You can tell these guys are Raider fans. Chris Jackson's got the Super Bowl 11 hat. That's because it was a Raiders victory in the Rose Bowl. And then Jordan's got a Super Bowl 15 hat, a Raiders victory. And these guys are such world travelers that when they get bored with the local scene here, they'll skip off to Las Vegas like they did over the weekend to go watch the Raiders. The Raiders lost on the final second. Sorry to rub it in, guys. But you two guys got to see a bit of NFL history. Jordan, we'll go with you. What you saw, and then kick it over to Chris. You something remarkable on special teams. What happened? Who was it? And how cool was it?
Yeah, I think we're talking about the Daniel Carlson missed extra point in the second quarter. The Cam Little to end the first half. The Raiders defense was playing great, and Jaguars get around midfield, probably a little behind midfield, and they call this timeout. And I think we were all kind of thinking, okay, enough time for Lawrence to throw up a Hail Mary, and they start trotting out Cam Little to get a kick, and I think everyone in the stadium had this collective, are they really going to kick this? And I think some Raider fans had some PTSD of the time that they had Janikowski try that 83-yard field goal or whatever it was. It fell 20 yards short. And then I think every Raider fan had the realization of, wait, this is a guy that kicked that, 71-yarder in preseason that was the longest kick that doesn't officially go in the record books. And we line it up. Everyone's doing the math in their head and realize 68 yards. This would be a record if it goes through. And I mean, Chris, I know you and I said the same thing. The moment he connected with that, everyone knew it was going in. It had the leg right away. It was dead on target. I mean, that thing did. I even watched the broadcast angle of it. That thing didn't move. And I mean, it was straight line. You don't get the wobble or the sway or anything. I think what's most impressive about it, too, was I mean, he just came in there like it was nothing. You can see kind of the nerves on a kicker before a big kick like that when you're thinking like this guy doesn't have it or he's going to miss this or it's going to be close. I think everyone knew when he was lining up that there was a good chance this was going in. Turned out to be the difference because that game goes into overtime and Raiders end up losing. So you don't make that record-breaking kick, you don't win that game. But I mean, it's tough to be on the losing end of it. But to get to say you were there when NFL history was broken is a pretty awesome thing. But at the same time, I know we've all talked about this, and I think that's a record that might not stand for long because I don't think we're far from seeing someone hit from 70 in a game.
Isn't that wild? And Jackson, your thoughts on that, and maybe drop in what's the longest field goal you've ever seen a high school kid kick? I saw one years ago, and it was duplicated, which I didn't see. But I'll bring that up in a moment. But a nice little getaway trip. I'm glad you guys didn't get arrested, thrown in the holding pen for hooliganism or being ruffians, and Aaron Jackson was going to allow that, and then you had the honorable good friend with you as well, keeping an eye on you guys.
Yeah, I probably should have been after that 2-point try was failed, right? That tip pass was probably as mad as I've been at a game in quite some time. But you know what? You get over it. You get to realize you saw an NFL record field goal. Just wish, Daniel Carlson could hit an extra point, but that's neither here nor there. I'm a Raiders fan. I should expect heartbreak. But at the high school level, I've seen two of them this year of 53 yarders from Sarah's kicker, Saul Marks. He's got three D1 offers. Washington State offered recently. Patrick Walsh said they can line up at the 40. He feels more than comfortable having him kick a 57-yard field goal. He watches college and NFL games. He's like, our guy can do that too. No doubt about it. That kid's a touchback machine going through the uprights. I don't know, the thing's probably hitting the neighborhood at this point of the season, right? If he's already hit 253-yarders. So you've got him also in their league in the W. Cal Chase Graff of Midi has also hit a 53-yard field goal this year, and he's only a junior. West Catholic Athletically, he's got some top tier kickers that heck maybe we just see in NFL Sundays, and maybe they can bypass college and just go straight to the NFL because I think there's a few teams that would like to have kickers with those legs. And then Bishop O'Dowd out in Oakland has two Division I kickers and punters on its roster, and Zach Bryan and Vince Santucci. We're seeing just more powerful kickers at the high school level, seeing it at the college level in the NFL. I don't know, what's the over-under, guys? Like 1.5 years until we see somebody hit 70 yards in the NFL game?
I think it can happen. I remember we talked about this a few weeks ago. I saw a kid, Zach McSweeney, 1994, when we were, you guys weren't even around, and I was just a young pup, um, and he was from Nevada Union. He kicked a 58 yarder, and it's still a Sacramento area record that got tied several years ago by Alex Godinez of Natomas, and he had a 58 yarder too. And it's only a matter of time before we see a 60 yarder in high school, or somebody win a big game, with their leg, because these kids are so skilled and they're so talented, um, that they just work on their craft, and it is hard to get a scholarship as a kicker, because a lot of times they're walk-ons. They want to give a scholarship to somebody else, but come on, man, these guys are invaluable players. Maybe the best kicker in this section, the Sac-Joaquin section, is Kyle Becker from Oak Ridge. He's got a cannon leg, and he could hit from the 40s, 40-yard range easily. So, all right. So we're going to talk today. We're going to talk about some of the CIF bowl games for the Sac-Joaquin section. We talked about it. It's now happening. 29 games will be played this Friday. All the rest of the 8 divisions will kick off the following week, which is November 14th. I think we all agree that some of these games make sense. Some of them don't. I don't understand teams with one win, Christian Brothers or Esparto, playing in a bowl game, or teams with no wins, like West Campus or the Sac City Unified, which had a couple games canceled this season because of not enough numbers. Nobody has opted out, and the section will not allow any opt-outs, because they will say, call up your JV guys. But the section office is also willing to pale it down considerably next season. They're always open for change. The voting for the member schools was overwhelming, 55-2, to have some kind of change, something to avoid some horrible blowouts. Also, in an effort to reduce the season, not from 10 games to 9 or anything in the regular season, but to have it better align with the Bay Area sections and all that. So I agree with that. So we'll talk about that. But I got some breaking news. We want to do something a little breaking news here. Larry Morla of Christian Brothers was already out as football coach. Well, last night he resigned as a PE teacher at Christian Brothers. He's an alum of the school. Good possibility that he joins Marlon Blanton's staff at Jesuit. Tough end for Marlon Blanton, or I'm sorry, Marlon Blanton's journey continues, but for his coaching friend, Larry Morla, was placed on administrative leave earlier this season. He got a little heated at halftime of a game against Nevada Union, home game, and hurled a rowing machine or something at a television monitor and obliterated it. There'd been tension. It happens in high school coaching. They're year-to-year at-will contracts. Do not know what's going to happen with Jason Adams up at Rockland and Placer County. He did not coach the other night, and he will not coach in a playoff opener next week in a rematch in a Sierra Foothill League rivalry rumble when Del Oro takes on Rockland again. Del Oro won a great game just recently. So I'm going to throw it back over to you, Jordan. Do you have any updates on what might happen with Coach Adams at Rockland? I would be surprised. I think he's an excellent football coach. I think he's had a tough season. I don't see that he'll come back with these year-to-year at-will contracts when you got a new administration and those kind of things. Can you shed any light on any of that, Jordan?
I haven't heard any situation of necessarily what happened that led to this. We actually found out about him not coaching that game as we were boarding our flight to Las Vegas. We found out Saturday morning. I'm with you though, where it's hard to imagine a scenario where he is back as the head coach, just because it's a situation of, now this is 2 different incidents this season that has led to him not coaching games on Friday nights. I'm not going to, speculate necessarily what happened with it, but, if you just look at this situation, no matter how good of a coach you are and how great of a program you run, if there's incidents that lead to suspensions 2 different times in a season, that's usually a telltale sign that there's going to be a change. It'll be interesting to see the direction that Rockland goes, because they have a lot of very strong coordinators. They have a really strong staff in general. But, one of the coaches they brought in, Bradley Hunkins from Wood Creek, led the Timberwolves to a section title a few years ago. He's an assistant on Rockland staff. He has that head coaching experience. They have guys in that school and on that staff with head coaching experience. We've also seen it before where Adams has stepped down from the head coaching role for period of time and stepped into a coordinator role and then come back to the head coaching role. I could see a world that happens. We know that the first incident that happened this season was something that was not tied to coaching. It was an incident with the class or with his PE class. And I don't know if this incident is something with coaching, but it's an interesting situation to unfold. And, especially it's not ideal timing. I mean, you definitely want your head coach when you're going up against Oak Ridge and then going in this rematch against Del Oro in 2 weeks. I mean, that's a big rematch in a game that I think if you had asked me right after it was played, if they played again, I would have said Rockland wins that rematch. But now with, all this turmoil going on internally in the program makes you kind of wonder if things are just kind of unraveling a little bit. But it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, who steps into that head coaching role and how this team responds to everything going on, because it is tough to kind of have that. It's tough to have continuity when there's not continuity in the head coaching position.
No, and it's a powerhouse program, big numbers, participation numbers. Ideally, high school footballs, you want your football coach to be an on-campus teacher. It is the biggest revenue sport, the biggest participation sport. The revenue from home games helps fund athletics across the board. So you have a coach who's on campus, a teacher, that makes it a year-round thing. Chris Jackson, I'm going to throw back over to you. Let's talk just extended here. Tis the season for coaches to step down, get removed because of the year-to-year at will. So we know we'll have a couple openings here. Probably going to have an opening at Del Campo. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Del Campo's on its third head coach this season. So there could be changes there. Not sure if you're hearing anything, but I know one thing that you did hear that turns your stomach and my stomach and anybody who can't understand hazing, but the Antioch football team in the East Bay had to forfeit a game the other night because of another horrible incident of hazing. I don't know how that's cool. I don't know why people continue to do it. It is damaging to student athletes who are the victims, and it paints a bad light for what is otherwise a really good school. So we have the Antioch situation down there. Do you have anything you could shed on that? Will they continue their season? That's a tough way to go, where they have to forfeit and the whole school gets a bad look for it.
Yeah, so Antioch still has its big little game against Pittsburgh High School, long-standing rivalry this Saturday afternoon. The game is still on from what we know. I mean, a lot can change. You don't know what happens. It's still right. Tuesday this week, we've seen games be called at kickoff time, right? In our area. We just saw that a couple weeks ago that we've discussed. I'm not sure. If I were them, I probably wouldn't want to play that game. I think there's just bigger fish to fry and we saw the video, it was on the news, that just it's despicable. It's disgusting to see something like that happen, right? And Antioch forfeited that Liberty game in advance. They made sure they wanted to get on top of that and get that discipline, but I think more discipline probably will be on the way, just especially when you see that video and it's public and what transpired in that locker room. That's not something that's not hazing to me. That's a whole other topic of conversation and something hazing's bad enough. I would deem this worse than hazing, but Sheldon's
This is
open
awful.
too. Sheldon High School yesterday, Elk Grove Unified sent out their head varsity football coach opening deadline to apply November 21st of this year. So Sheldon High School is open too. They had a new coach this year. Going to be having another new coach there. And Sheldon High School, Elk Grove Unified this coming fall next year, but that's another opening. And I think that would be, there's athletes in that area. That's a good job if you can make it work. And Rockland is a premier job. If you're Rockland High School, you can pluck from your staff, or you can try to make a big hire from elsewhere in the section, maybe a really successful smaller school coach.
Yeah, no,
You
I hear you,
is
and
good.
totally agree on the Elk Grove Unified School District. Sheldon Huskies, large enrollment, good league, the Delta League, the Chris Nixon dismissal a couple of years ago, or just over a year ago, is all the more confounding and disappointing. And then the team went 0-10, and Jason Bumbaka had to take over as coach. He's the athletic director when they had to put their initial coach. I don't even remember his name. I'm not even going to look it up, but he was barking at kids in a after practice or during practice. Oh, well, that's what they all do. Well, not with some of the things he said, and you just can't do that. And I'm going to put out another warning for kids now. When you do hazing and you don't care that you're damaging somebody, because hazing, if you look it up, is an intention to humiliate. And in high school sports, college sports, pro sports, what do we always hear over the years, guys? "Oh, that's my brother. This is my team. We're a brotherhood." Well, hazing has nothing to do with team or family. It's an act to humiliate, degrade, and I think these teenagers, a lot of times they do a lot of good things. They think they're badass football guys, but that's the ultimate in immaturity. If there's any hazing in the section playoffs, these are CIF events. Schools could be reprimanded. There could be sanctions for a school. So stop doing it because it's the right thing to do. Don't allow it because it's the smart thing to do to avoid and prevent bullying or hazing. And if you're going to continue to videotape yourself doing this and you're flabbergasted at why you get punished, it's time to grow up. And the other thing we have to warn and remind coaches and admins and athletic directors is make sure all your transfer paperwork is up to date. How many times over the years have we had to do these awful stories where a team gets to a NorCal final or wins a section championship or gets to a state final, and then all of a sudden they get dinged for an ineligible player because of a junior varsity call-up who played in the final seconds of a 60-0 running clock score, and somebody waited. They hold on to the information and then forward it, and then championships are vacated. That happened to Delaware in 2018 and happened to Jesuit in 2018, where their seasons were completely buckled because of people holding on to information. Don't hold on to information, man. If you got something, you forward it right away. Don't wait. But that's what we have in competition, including in the high school level and those kind of things. So, those are amazing. Good points about the jobs openings. I'm going to get back to you in a second here, Chris. We'll talk about some of the big games in Week 10 in the Bay Area, including Reardon and Sarah in the West Catholic Athletic League. Jordan, are you going to take a leak? Are you going to check out a bowl game this week? Or are you going to join me at Sac State to watch the men's basketball to see a big, tall kid out of Rockland High School?
Yeah, I'm going to be joining you at Sac State at the new and improved, was it the Hornet Pavilion, I believe they're calling it. So no longer a nest, it's a pavilion now. So I don't know, maybe the Hornet got a payday. That's a little upgrading a couple new bedrooms in the house to make it a pavilion. But I'm excited to watch this for a couple reasons. One, Mark Lavernov, it sounds like this staff at Sac State has been very impressed with him, raving about him. We're not shocked. A lot of times when we see these guys that are that 6'7", 6'8" frame in high school that are big men, we kind of get a good gauge of, is this guy going to play at the next level based on, can he only play in the post or can he play outside? And Mark Lavernov is your perfect player that can adjust to playing on the outside. He's got a good shot. He can defend both down low and at the key. His work ethic has really stood out, and they're expecting him to get minutes there. I'm really excited to see how he fits into this Sac State team and how he fits under Mike Bibby's offense. And then the opponent, too, playing against Jessup University. I'm excited to see that, too. This is now the third season, I believe, with head coach Mark Darnell there. He is familiar with the Big Sky, having served at Eastern Washington as an assistant. He was their lead assistant the year they went 16-2 in Big Sky play a couple years ago. And they ended up just missing the tournament because they didn't win the conference tournament. He's got 5 incoming recruits on this roster that are freshmen. He's got 5 transfers, including a couple D1 bounce backs that he's pretty excited about. Jessup now a full member of D2, so they're ready to hit the ground running. And I expect they have high expectations for this team. And the big reason for that, too, is getting that full membership in Division II. It makes things much easier to recruit for a lot of these coaches because it is hard to get guys to come to a school, and girls. I mean, really, whoever. If you're playing a college sport, you are competitive and you want to win. It's hard to convince kids to come to a school knowing you're not eligible for postseason play. And Jessup won the National Christian College national championships in baseball and softball last year, but they want to be playing for that NCAA D2 title. So really cool that basketball is kind of seeing the benefits of that and testing themselves early. It's going to go down as an exhibition, but I think it's going to be a good test, and exciting to see how these new faces fit in at Jessup and how this new era gets underway at Sac State.
Oh, it's good stuff. Mike Bibby has his home has his Sacramento State head coaching debut tonight, taking on Dominican College of the Bay Area. I was at the women's game last night at Sacramento State. They won by an avalanche. The Pavilion is a significant upgrade from the Nest, which was the poorest facility in all of Division One college basketball. Unacceptable, but finally they have something that looks sparkling and nice. And there's plans on having an on-campus arena at some point. This one seats 3,100. They like to get something on campus, so it'll be good to see you on Friday. Well, I'm going to take a peek at some of these bowls here in a minute, but why don't we kick off with some game balls? What we'd like to do on the Three Stooges podcast is we offer a game ball or two and kick it around our round table. Chris Jackson, if you have a guy, size him up, what'd he do, and how cool was it?
Okay, let's go to my first guy, and I think everybody's going to agree with this after you watched him play on Friday night. Aiden Lopez of Casa Roble High School. Let's call him an Orangevale legend. Let's call him a Golden Empire League legend. Yes, 12 of 17 passing, 183 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, but it was the way he played this game, the toughness, the grit. This kid put his body on the line every play, and there was a scary moment late in the second quarter where he said he made a mistake. He probably shouldn't have tried to run that football, but ran to the outside, ran left. Clean hits, right? But just 2 guys hit him hard. He goes down. You're like, oh my goodness, he's down for a minute. You're thinking, this can't happen in this game, right? With how much you knew how much this game meant to Aiden Lopez, especially, right? Because there was a lot of people that said, oh, why is he Casa Roble starting quarterback last year over the incumbent 2-year starter, Connor Campbell, right? And Campbell did a great job moving to wide receiver. He was an all Sacramento wide receiver and all of that stuff as well. And he handled that well. Those two became really good friends. But there were a lot of people that were like, what are they doing? What's Chris Horner doing? What's the staff doing? Well, Aiden Lopez showed why he's a second-year starting quarterback after moving from Folsom. You think he's out, he comes back in that second half. He throws a 68-yard touchdown pass right on the money, in stride, as good as anybody can throw that football. He throws 2 hands in the air, looks at the Sutter student section and said, this is my moment. A lot of people don't think he's a college quarterback, and he wants to prove that he is. He's got a couple of D3 offers, but anyone that watched him probably thinks he's worthy of some more. And to be honest, I think he's a Division I football quarterback. There's not a whole lot of guys with his arm talent, the zip on that ball, that moxie that you just can't teach, and that it factor. And there was another pass. I was talking with Matt Bissett after the game. It was an incompletion, but that coverage, guy in the back of the end zone, I think he was shocked that Lopez even fit that in there, because I haven't seen quarterbacks really at any level that do it. That was probably the most impressive incompletion I've seen in my entire life. But this kid is the number 2 passer in the section. Great academically, great student, great leader, great player. Aiden Lopez, if you haven't already, freaking check him out. He's leading the number 1 seed in Division 5, the Rams, and maybe we see that rematch against Sutter there in a few weeks at Hughes Stadium. But Aiden Lopez is every bit the real deal, and every bit somebody that we should be watching play on Saturdays next fall.
Good call. Before I throw to you, Jordan, Chris Jackson, you sent me the little video clip from behind the end zone of he's scrambling and he gets blown up, and there's a helmet rolling. At first I thought it was his helmet with his head in it. No, it was a Sutter helmet, and he was down for a minute. It looks scary. And in this era of, hey, we got to be really careful, he was fine. Everybody cleared him. But yeah, terrific talent. It just shows that you could be a terrific student, make all the throws, good leader, and it's that hard to get scholarships. He's a perfect example, but he'll play somewhere. All right, Jordan, give us a game ball.
I'm gonna go. I'll give a tandem game ball here to the Roseville duo of J.J. Young and Kenny McClure. They were huge in Thursday's win over Placer. J.J. Young in the second quarter had 2 touchdowns. I think it was a 42-yarder and a 68-yarder. The 68-yarder, if you haven't seen the clip of it, it's on Roseville Football's Twitter. I don't know how he didn't get tackled on this. I don't know how he stayed in bounds on this. I don't know how he stayed upright. And he got twisted upside down, breaks 3 tackles, is pulled by the shoulder pads, yanked every which way except to the ground, and finds a way to score a touchdown. He finishes with 6 catches, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns. Another kid that I know he's been hurt this season, but I mean, how does this kid not have more Division I attention? He is every bit of what you want in a Division I receiver, and there is someone that's going to get a steal in this kid because I think he might be the most under-recruited kid in the Sac-Joaquin section right now. Then Kenny McClure, he ended up coming into this game carrying the ball a lot in the fourth quarter because DeMarcus Gresham ended up a little banged up and he was cramping. He comes in, 8 carries, 154 yards. He had over 100 yards in the fourth quarter alone, including a touchdown that kind of put the game out of reach and another big run that put it out of reach again after Placer responded with a touchdown. I asked Adam Ranking about him after the game, and he said, it was a good problem to have, but we were trying to run the clock out, and he kept scoring. So, I mean, you got to give credit to that when the only criticism that you can get from your coach is you kept scoring. So, Kenny McClure and J.J. Young, you get my tandem game balls for the start of the week.
Well done, well done. JJ Young, you're exactly right. He's a multi-sport guy, excellent basketball player, 6'4", long strides, great film, as you mentioned. He's got breakaway speed, good student, good guy. It's hard to get recruited. I mean, if we've talked about this over the years, in any form of one form or another. About 2% of high school kids in America in all sports play in college or get scholarships. So there's so many who don't. We talk about the junior colleges. That's why the football rosters are so stacked. But you're right, J.J. Young is a guy worth a peek, and it doesn't matter where you go. Anybody, I've heard suggestions. Well, he should be at a different school than Roseville. No, film doesn't lie, talent doesn't lie. It's just hard to do. He'll keep charging on, and hopefully someone will find him. But all right, I have a game ball out of Rio Linda. Joseph Corey, senior running back for the Rio Linda Knights, 32 carries against the Dixon Rams, 304 yards, 2 touchdowns, 35-13 win in a Golden Empire League finale. The Rio Linda Knights are in a playoff game in 2 weeks at Hillmar. This is great because nobody's had 300 yards at Rio Linda since some guy named Cam Scatabo, who made it kind of a routine thing when he became the section's all-time leading rusher before this season when Wes Burford overpassed him. But that's a good game, man. That guy showed up to work. Joseph Corey, 304 yards, 2 touchdowns. All right, Chris Jackson, one more game ball to you, and then throw over to Jordan.
Let's go to Joel Donnell, the running back, senior running back at Cesar Chavez High School in Stockton. I was at the rivalry game Thursday against Stagan. I don't know how big this thing was, and boy, am I glad I went. Chavez, 42-0 win. Joel Donnell was incredible. He showed why he's got a Weber State offer in hand and why they offered him recently. 15 carries, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns, had a 27-yard touchdown catch. You think of the modern-day running back in the great ones, he epitomizes that. Chavez just 2 years ago, by the way, was 0-10. Since then, since Derek Graves took over and moved over from Kimball to his alma mater, league champs last year, first ever 10-0 season this year in league champs. Again, they're the 7 seed in D2, and Joel Donnell is worth every single penny to watch. He wants to become a mechanical engineer too, says he loves math. God bless him for that. I don't know how you love math and want to work with that the rest of your life. So, I mean, God bless you. You're one of a kind as a football player, and what you want to do career-wise. Just tremendous what he's done and what Chavez High School has done there as a public school in Stockton. We often think of the St. Mary's, the Lincolns, the Edisons. Well, you know what? Chavez needs to be right there at the top of the conversation. This young man isn't just the top running back in that city, but he's also a top running back in the Sac-Joaquin section.
I've got to go the next game ball here. It's a guy who's received a couple game balls from us, but I mean, he just keeps doing things to earn game balls. That is Vinny Navarro of Forest Hill. He puts up 366 yards on Thursday night to break the school single season rushing record. He's now at over 1,600 yards on the year. What's awesome about it, though, he only had 1 rushing touchdown. And if you want to know why, it's because it was on their senior night, and Forest Hill decided they wanted every senior to find a way to score. And what do? All 8 seniors find the end zone at least once on senior night. Awesome thing there. But I mean, Vinny Navarro too, just a great representative of this program. On Tuesday night, he drove all the way down to Sonora to support the flag football team. That 2.5 hour, probably 3 hour drive from Forest Hill to go watch him play. He's led the Wildfires to the 2 seed. But I mean, a 300 plus yard performance. And I mean, it feels like every week he's putting up some type of numbers like this. Got to give him a shout out for that. And then another special shout out to piggyback off you, Chris. Manteca, Sonora, Miraloma, 12 Bridges, Merced, Liberty Ranch, and Chavez. You guys all get shout outs. What do you all have in common? You all went 10-0, and no matter what happens in this postseason, 10-0 is something they can never take away from you. It is something that is hard to do. You have to be good. You have to be a little bit lucky. You have to be well coached. You have to execute. There's a lot of things that have to go your way to go 10-0. So a shout out to every single one of these 10-0 teams because it is a hard thing to do. And a special shout out to 12 Bridges because that's 3 straight 10-0 seasons. That's a very, very impressive feat.
I'm a firm believer that you earn your luck. Good luck usually comes from those who have earned it and put in the time and done things the right way. And these programs have. And that's why they're 10-0. And you mentioned 12 Bridges, 3 straight years. I mean, that's just unfathomable, especially being a new school.
It really is impressive. And then you talk about Chavez of Stockton. Just a few years ago, they were winless or 1 win and have some alumni coaches there. 10-0 for and only good enough for a 7 seed in Division II. Have to go up to Granite Bay November 14th. So, Coach Joe Catalico, Granite Bay, saying, hey, guys, don't look at the seeding. This is an unbeaten team with a pretty good running back. Why would they be 10-0 with such a low seed? Because the strength of schedule, it's not their fault. They're playing who's in front of them. So that is interesting. Good job, Jordan, on anyways, 10-0. Liberty Ranch of Galt, 3 1,000-yard rushers. How's that? I mean, you're earning your luck there. And all right, my game ball is, if I could find him here. Where did he go? There it is. Quarterback Jacoby Moore of Vista Del Lago of Folsom, and they've had a lot of good quarterbacks at that program, and this guy's only a sophomore. And in a 44-37 win last week over Bella Vista, Mr. Moore, 21 of 28 passing, 370 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. 2 of those touchdowns went to Kyle Cromwell. That's an anchor for the next few years for them. And he's in a bowl game this week, and they're going to play at Elk Grove in a bowl game. That game actually makes sense to have a game that's kind of competitive. I'm not a fan of bowl games with 1-win teams or winless teams and all that. We're going to just gloss over this before we kick back to Chris Jackson about some games in the Bay Area. But one bowl game of note is Pleasant Grove of the Elk Grove Unified at West Park of Roseville. Both those teams just missed the Division I cut. I think that's actually an interesting game. Another one is Franklin of Elk Grove Unified at Whitney. Whitney's 2-8, but played in the Sierra Foothill League, and that's losses to Folsom, Oak Ridge, Del Oro, Jesuit, Rockland. So we'll see what happens there. That has the potential to be pretty decent. And then there's a neighborhood bowl game of sorts. The Fair Oaks Bowl, as we're going to call it. The El Campo Cougars at Bella Vista. These schools have been rivals since the early 1960s. Will people show up? Are people going to come to these games? Are fans going to go? Are students going to have rooting section? Are they going to have marching bands? We'll see. And a section will trim these bowl games from 29 this season considerably if it's not well attended or if there's teams that bail out or whatever. But we'll see. So Chris Jackson, it is week 10 in some of the Bay Area sections, and I think you have a couple of good games, including in the West Catholic Athletic League. Size that one up for us. It looks like a showdown, and there could be long-term ramifications with our section for a NorCal Bowl.
Yeah, Sarah versus Reardon. It's the one Friday night game Sarah gets per year, and it's going to be against Archbishop Reardon, top 2 teams in the WCal for a league title. And there is no doubt that this will probably be the CCS Open Final later this month, right? And the loser of that CCS Open Final then goes to D1, like the NCS new rule, as they call it, the De La Salle rule, essentially, goes to D1 and has a chance to play for that championship next week. Reardon, 9-0, 20 kids with Division I offers in that program. Their quarterback, Michael Mitchell, is a Vanderbilt commit, and Vanderbilt looks pretty good now, right? He's got a lot of these similar just talent traits as Diego Pavia. Some look at him as undersized, right? But the arm talent, the mechanics, the leadership. He's a 4-year varsity starter. And the receivers they've got, just Judge Nash at Harvard. You've got Sinai Thomas, their roster is loaded, and so is Sarah's. I mentioned their kicker that can make a massive difference in a game like this. They've got running back Isaiah Singleton, who's an absolute. So they got a couple of quarterbacks. Caleb Bandel is like a 4.6 student, a veteran. They got William Orr as a freshman, also a great DB. Got a great D line. Multiple guys with you in offers. Lamani Fehoko, tight end Jace Cannon just got some big time offers. He's also got a Stanford offer in there. USC just offered him. But the ramifications of this, I've been kind of looking at if teams handle their business. Does Reardon play Folsom in a NorCal Bowl? Maybe we get like a Pitt against Sarah or Pitt against Manteca, Sarah against Manteca. There's a lot of different possibilities there. But let's say, I don't know, Sarah beats Reardon this time and the next time, or Sarah just beats Reardon once. Maybe it's this time or in the Open Championship, if all that stuff goes according to plan. Los Gatos has played the role of kind of taking Reardon out, and they did last year. So there's a lot that can happen there. But a Reardon Folsom NorCal Bowl in early December would be as much talent as you're going to see on a high school football field in Northern California. Both programs, I think, combined for 40 plus kids with Division I offers, which is about how much of St. John Bosco has in its program alone, right? That goes to show you all of that. But that's a great one. Monta Vista plays San Ramon Valley. Cal plays Amador Valley. Amador Valley's head coach, Danny Jones, he's been there 9 years, took over for the legendary Rick Sierra, who was unbelievable. Him and Matt Sweeney at Foothill just had all these great battles, class acts. Danny Jones was a star quarterback on that team in 04 that was undefeated and lost to De La Salle in the championship. But this is Danny Jones's last regular season game at Amador Valley. He and his family are moving to Idaho in the offseason. Cheaper living. He's going to be a coach out there, and his wife, as he said, can be a stay-at-home mom, and to have those finances, she can be a stay-at-home mother, be with the kids, and he can coach football and live in a great neighborhood where one of his former assistants, Terry Butler, who's a Livermore guy, went to Amador Valley, then with him coaching wise lives out there as well. So there those games, those matchups, and then Granada Livermore, where I'm going to be on Friday night, is for the East Bay Athletic League Valley title. And Livermore High School hasn't won a league title in over 20 years. They've had some guys. They've had Damari Drew go to the NFL. Can they get, though, that first league title since I think when I was born in 1996? I want to say those times is the last time that they've won a league title, and they've got a chance. But Granada's got a 3-star tight end / defensive end, so it's going to be a battle. In the Bay Area Week 10 looks like our slate from the Sac-Joaquin section last week.
Oh, that's good stuff. And I think we're going to wrap it up, guys. Next week we will preview all the Sac-Joaquin section playoff brackets. We'll highlight dark horses, contenders, favorites, top players, themes, trends, things like that. Let's hope we have good weather. I always feel at this time of year, let it rain in January. We don't want wet, rainy games. Yes, they're on field turf, but fans don't want to sit through that, and we don't want to have any excuses. I remember years ago, some 1999, 2000, 2001, there were playoff games. It was called a city championship before it was then it was more of a section semifinal now. And Nevada Union Grant played in a swamp at Hughes Stadium at Sacramento City College. And Pete Sacco was the section commissioner. He said, we can't play on this swamp anymore. And then field turf started to come in and things like that. And the reason is that the kids like to play in the slop, but that's a lousy way to lose a championship game. You don't get enough footing for a punt or a point after touchdown or a field goal or the ball's wet. And it's always especially miserable for the losing team. So we'll see on that. So for Jordan Georgeson, pride of the Raiders, tough loss the other day, but you guys got to see NFL history. For Chris Jackson, who reps the old Super Bowl hat and rubbed it into our good friend Coach Tedman. The Vikings haven't been back to the Super Bowl since, but he's hopeful. I'm Joe Davidson. Thanks for joining us. Give us a follow on social media as well. We will see everybody real soon.